Hello, everybody. If you're joining, we're just going to give it to about 2 after before we kick things off to let people in and get situated. So give it another minute or two, and then we will get going.
Oops.
All right, we'll get started here. Welcome, everybody. I am Emily Drohan. I am the Partner Marketing Manager here at Platform Science. And today we are kicking off Driver Appreciation Week at Platform Science with a series of valuable webinars. And today's is featuring Rolling Strong. Rolling Strong is a transportation-specific wellness solution designed to keep drivers healthy and compliant. Today, the webinar is presented by Steve Kane, the president of Rolling Strong, and Megan Blevins, the Senior Director of Strategic Accounts. They will be presenting transportation wellness for improved retention. I do have a few housekeeping notes. This webinar is being recorded and will be sent to you via email once available. If you have questions or comments throughout the webinar, please use the Q&A function and we will respond accordingly. There will be a brief survey at the end of the webinar. Please complete the survey to let us know how you thought today's session went. And with that, I will pass it over to Steve and Megan for their presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Platform Science and team, for having us. My name is Megan Blevins. I'm joined by my partner in crime here, Steve Kane, and we are excited today to talk to you a little bit about transportation wellness to improve your overall retention. As we all know, it's no secret through the last few years, there have been a variety of challenges that have impacted fleet retention, right? We're talking about things like the Great Resignation, inflation, labor shortages, to name a few. These challenges have impacted every single aspect of your business, right? From the front office to supply chain to inside the cab. So how are you supposed to be able to combat these challenges? Maybe you did know, maybe you didn't know, but there actually is a solution already at your fingertips called Rolling Strong. And today we're going to walk through a little bit about what is transportation wellness in terms of the Rolling Strong platform that we provide. How will that improve your company's overall retention? And then along with some additional Rolling Strong offerings that are on Platform Science. Before we get going, a quick who are we, right? Myself, actually, Steve and I have a combined about 40 years in the transportation industry. I don't think either one of us like to admit that we're that old, but here we are. And being in transportation, we both can say we're very, very proud of. Steve himself is very also passionate about fitness and nutrition, not just for himself, but for everyone, including being a very competitive athlete with a few Ironmans under his belt. Personally speaking, in the transportation world, I have a background in branding and strategic communications and really enjoy traveling and being anything outdoors. But really, who is Rolling Strong, right? We are very, very proud to be the only wellness program on the market that was built by transportation professionals. We, day in and day out, take pride in delivering relatable tools, again, to the back office as well as frontline workers. We put health solutions in everyone's hands with mobile technology. We are experts in building culture wellness, which we will touch on a little bit more as we go through this. we don't just come in and say, here's an app, it's going to fix your world. We actually take time to sit down and say, how can wellness become a cornerstone of your culture? And what does that look like from a leadership perspective to safety to new hire orientation? Again, all the way out to the drivers who are out there doing this work day in and day out. And we solve for something very large in this industry. As we all know, one nuclear verdict can really change the projection of any company as well as any family involved. So we solve for the accident prevention, injuries, job performance, as well as what we will really focus in on today, which is around retention. All right, Steve, how are you today?
Fantastic.
Good. Before we kind of jump into our first topic, we do have a handful of polling questions for you. So our first one for everyone to be involved in is, what does wellness mean to you? Is it an app? Is it a way for people to get in shape? Is it better control costs for healthcare, workers' comp? Is it eating better, drinking more water, or is it massage therapy? So what does wellness mean to you? Go ahead and get that clicked in. I think we have about 10, 12 seconds per each question, and then it'll click off. All right, the answers should pop up. There we go. All right, great. So out of this, what does wellness mean to you? Split 50-50 down the middle, eating better and drinking more water, and then better control costs of healthcare and workers' comp. Steve, what do you think about that?
I'm impressed with those results. I think last time we had similar questions and, it was a little different, but, that's right on target. And that's what we focus on, is a combination of both those answers right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead and go into our next slide, where we talk a bit about what is traditional wellness versus what we really hone in on, which is transportation wellness.
Sure. So I'll jump in here. Thanks everybody for for being on this webinar. You may be familiar with traditional wellness programs. Most companies have them. It's been around for a long time. Typically, traditional wellness is going to have some kind of annual screening program. Maybe they do it, in the workplace, in the office, that you can participate. They might run some kind of challenge that you can participate in, and might have some coaching and that kind of thing. The trouble with that in the transportation space is it's, we're dealing with a population of people that most of the time doesn't want to do something different, or they're too far gone to to be in that readiness stage to make a change, and they're also extremely hard to reach. And they, like that mountain we're looking at in the background, have a huge uphill battle to make those necessary changes in their life to do something different. So we've built what we call transportation wellness, which really focuses on how do we reach those people that are difficult to reach? How do we build tools that make sense to them? How do we bring biometric screening networks and competitions and all those other things to the cab of the truck?
Excellent. Another quick polling question right out the bat. We think this is very important to talk about, right? Do we think that there is a current problem with the health of professional drivers that affects driver retention? Should have brought my Jeopardy music.
I was going to say, where's the music? Worked.
Perfect. Yes, 100%.
Yeah. So it does, and it happens in a lot of different ways, and we'll cover some of this, as we go through the deck. But there's a lot of things that we can do collectively across the organization to keep those employees from a wellness perspective, including building culture, preventing accidents, preventing work comp issues, and other. We'll talk about that as we go. So let's first kind of level set on kind of the state of the issue. Transportation in trouble. We've all known as an industry for a long time that this is a problem. If you talk to anybody and just say, yeah, we work in in a wellness program where we're bringing wellness to truck drivers, they say, oh yeah, they're sedentary and they don't have a lot of healthy options, and so we know it's a tough job for them to do and stay healthy on the road. But the truth is it's a much bigger problem than that, because not only does it affect their life and their long-term health and their retirement, but it affects the company as well. So we know statistically that they are the most unhealthy person in the American workforce. Chances are some of them are working for you. And this is going to impact your bottom line. It's going to contribute to liability that you have a tired, lethargic, overweight driver behind the wheel kind of thing. When you look at some of those statistics that drive that factor, average age, 48 years old, it's an aging population, diabetes is double, injury rate is double, hypertension versus, the average is certainly much higher. 45% of drivers that take the DOT medical certification are issued a short-term card, which means that that's indicative that there's a major issue. You have so many people behind the wheel that with less than acceptable medical conditions. More drivers have sleep apnea than the rest of the population, and many of them are trying to fight through extreme fatigue while they're behind the wheel. A lot of which is health, nutrition, proper sleep, hydration is contributing to. When you look at how this impacts you as a carrier, the correlation is pretty obvious, I believe, but we'll point some of it out. Average cost to onboard a driver, $5,000 to $10,000. If you're a hazmat carrier, it's much higher. And so, when you look at that and you look at your turnover, how can we drive that number down by keeping more drivers with you behind the wheel of the truck? Work comp is always rated much higher for trucking companies. Obese workers are 13 times as likely to miss work. And we have such a large percent of drivers that are not only obese, but are morbidly obese, 17% of them, as a matter of fact. The average cost of an accident can be anywhere from $400,000 to $4 million. Again, can we prevent one or two of those accidents from happening for you by turning that person's life around, by getting them more focused behind the wheel? And on the DOT certification side, certainly drivers get issued a short-term card, you keep them behind the wheel, but what about the 3% that get disqualified, or the ones that have those medical conditions? Are they less efficient, less productive? Are they absent more? How do we improve their productivity? So like I was saying before, when it comes to retention, there's a lot of pieces that can kind of lend itself to the retention piece. Number one, and if you've done any internal surveys or looked at a lot of surveys we've had historically, drivers feel siloed, they feel undervalued. It's never enough. I know this, certainly from a personal standpoint. I spent 10 years behind the wheel of a truck. So it's not something I just went out there and tried for the day or two, but know it all too well. And drivers do feel siloed and undervalued a lot of the time. And offering a wellness program can be a step in building a culture that changes that. Many drivers are one preventable accident away from losing their job or their entire career without any real additional skills to put food on the table for their family. They could be one injury away from not being able to perform their job as well, even if it's you got to put them on light duty or they end up on long-term leave. A driver with increased health issues as at risk of a heart attack or stroke, possibly behind the wheel. And we've unfortunately dealt with that. I've dealt with that personally when I was running a dispatch operation. It's a horrible, thing that happens. And drivers that get disqualified means that not only is the driver not driving the truck, but you have freight and you have assets that's sitting on the yard that you can't move or having trouble to move. And so these are all things Rolling Strong can help you with. And we do that by building a culture of wellness and showing where wellness has a place in recruitment and in safety and ongoing meetings and, overall driving ability and all those kinds of things. You can go to the next one. One of the big solutions that I want to highlight today is a program we have called Ready Recert. And I'll talk in a few minutes about other parts of our solution, but Ready Recert, for instance, is a custom portion of our program that focuses on the DOT medical exam portion. So one, we handle the reminder piece of it. So they get automated reminders 90 days, 60 days, 30 days, 2 weeks, 1 week, and 2 days before their examination. Those reminders also have a link in there where they can take what we call the DOT physical pre-check. It's an HRA that was custom built with our team and certified medical examiners that can help us identify what areas they need to work on before they take the DOT medical exam. We have a whole library of content we've built that helps drivers prepare for the DOT physical. That's filled with blogs, podcasts, videos, so they can, pick their medium, however they like to learn. And on the other side of it, we have quizzes and tests they can take. They're not graded on them, but just helps them become self-aware of if they know what they need to do to prepare for the exam and what the DOT medical examiner is going to do in that exam. We have CDL specific wellness coaches that can guide them through this process. So that means they're board certified wellness coaches that also understand the trucking environment and challenges truckers have. We also can handle DOT physicals. We can handle that network through our partners. And we have in-app vouchers that help with all that as well. So, a very comprehensive program that also gives you the visibility of who's coming up for the DOT physical, what status they're in. And we've even built a awards bracket program that allows truck drivers to earn points and incentives for doing the right things right as they prepare for their DOT medical exam. Give them a little extra motivation.
For our next polling question, we'd like to talk about what are the primary challenges to offering a wellness program to improve driver retention? Is it implementation, engagement, value of investment, resources, leadership buy-in, or I'm not sure? Oh, great split here. So what are the primary challenges to offering a wellness program to improve driver retention? A little bit of everything. So understanding engagement, right? That value of the investment at 67%, resources at 67%, and then leadership buy-in at 67%. Steve, what do you think about that?
Yeah, so all of that is, 100% accurate, right? They're all important pieces of it. The implementation, I'd argue is also an important piece. And the reason I say that is because so we've gotten very specific on our implementation process. We've built our own project management studio out that helps kind of guide us through a similar experience each company we deploy. But getting all the right players involved, doing surveys and doing a cultural identification, finding out what your culture looks like. Is wellness a core value of that? Right, those are all pieces. Building content that allows your leadership team to support wellness in the workplace. How are we communicating this through what mediums? Certainly, it should be on the Platform Science device. It's a great medium to communicate this, but on video streaming, on social media, and other. Those are all things that we do correctly, the implementation side, so we can get the right engagement, so we can get a real value back in the investment. And we can lobby for the right resources. And because we are a managed service program, on the resource side, we always say we do the heavy lifting. We just want you to, kind of be a traffic director. Let us know who we need to talk to, give us approvals on content and competitions. But by far, the biggest one is that leadership buy-in. If you don't have buy-in from leadership, it makes it very difficult, for any new program to live and succeed over time. So in addition to Ready Research, when you walk away from this webinar today, it would be my wish that you would see Rolling Strong as a platform solution. So we are first off, HIPAA compliant. That's a question that comes up quite a bit. We have our own internal HIPAA attorneys, and we pay very close attention to data protection, data privacy. The last thing we need is a HIPAA leak, and we certainly don't want drivers to feel like there's a violation of their privacy. We are highly scalable, so we can handle this at any magnitude, depending on whether you're a small or large carrier. We've built our own proprietary software, so we manage all that internally, which also means if you have things that you want to build or you have changes you want to be made, we can look at those and we can address those issues along the way. Fully managed service, full account management team with experience running these programs, certified wellness coaches. We curate all of our own educational content, so we're not borrowing it from somebody else. We're building content that makes sense to the population we're talking to, which is very important, because if truckers, if they don't get it, they're not going to read it, they're not going to listen to it. You got to talk to them, you got to meet them where they are. We have a wellness behavior app, so an app that really is built to identify the stage of change that people are in, and then help them over time build habits through doing things repetitively over and over, and incentivizing them for those actions and those tasks. We are fully integrated with wearables, so we are partnered with Garmin, Fitbit, Polar, Apple, Samsung, all of them. We've gamified that whole wearable industry. So anything that comes from the wearable, we've attached points to it, which lends itself to our gamification piece, which is super robust and extremely dynamic. And we have a whole network of health check kiosks like you'd see in a grocery store or a pharmacy that we can put on premise in your driver break room or other. We have a nationwide screening network to make it easier for drivers to get annual screenings, DOT physicals, and other. And we also manage all the rewards and incentives, both from a procurement and distribution standpoint. Custom content, as I said, and the only thing I'll highlight on this, on this page is that, with content, we have really cool customized content, but we work closely with you and your team to make sure it blends well with your marketing, your brand and all that. But we also take it another step, and we work with like orientation and safety and other departments to make sure wellness isn't necessarily taking over, but it has a place in all those different areas. Safety is a big one, right? So, how does somebody being awake and alert as opposed to lethargic and tired have an impact on following distance, deceleration before cornering? We have tons of telematics related tools that can help, mitigate risk and do training and all that, which I'm a huge advocate of. We happen to focus on the human being behind the wheel of the truck. How do we put them in the truck, alert, focused from the pre-trip all the way through their driving duty status each and every day? How do we get the best person behind the wheel we can? And so we really work on that content for you and make sure we're delivering it in the right way to your people.
And that custom content, one quick comment, Steve, is also a great way we can have that conversation with leadership to also get that buy-in, right? So this custom content is not just about delivering once you become a customer, but if you're also very interested in the program and not sure where to start that internal conversation, a lot of this custom content helps with that too.
Yep, absolutely. The clinic network. So again, we've integrated, lots of partners, CVS Minute Clinic, and many others. So there's tens of thousands of options across the United States that drivers can use our mapping tool, find out the closest screening location. They can, depending on what you choose to enable through the program, what you turn on, they can then redeem a voucher. They can route themselves to the location or do it on the weekend or their 34-hour break. Get the screening done. When it's done, it shows up in the app in their history. It also shows up in our portal for our coaches to interact with that information, cholesterol, blood pressure, all of it. Same thing with the kiosk network. You can sign in right from our app. It'll say, welcome to Higgy. You are a Rolling Strong user. Let's get started. And if those things don't work for you, we can deploy assessment forms where people can walk into their own physician and have them fill out the form, upload it. Our form reader will read that data and place it appropriately in our database for the user to see it and for our coaches to see it. Next slide. Rolling Strong Games, the cool side of what we do. It really drives engagement up tremendously. I mean, we see an increase in 15 or 20% engagement when we start running the competitions. We do monthly competitions. They can be user versus user. It can be location versus location. It can be multiple winner brackets, so everybody has a chance to win. there's lots of things you can do with competitions. Again, our account managers guide you and set all that up, best case scenario for your operation. And awards brackets is super cool because that one is the long-term piece. Rookie, bronze, silver, and gold. You decide what criteria you want your employees to meet to make it into each bracket. They have to meet with a coach. They have to get a screening. They have to do a DOT HRA, whatever it is. They make it to a bracket. They redeem a reward for it. Usually it takes about 3 months to make it through each bracket. And at the end of the year, you can also use the data from the awards brackets to show the insurance company, we're happy to work closely with your insurance company as well. That way we can work on giving an incentive on the whole plan or a discount to the individuals for completing awards brackets. And incentives can be redeemed through the app. We will distribute them from our fulfillment center in Kansas City. And we also allow you to build out your own custom reward store in the mobile app. And so we work with you on that as well. And we post those in there, and we give you an inventory visibility tool so you can, track what's being redeemed and how many you have left of each item and all that kind of stuff. Wellness at your fingertips, a very robust mobile app. Every driver has a phone. We certainly don't want them using it while they're driving, but when they're on 34-hour, 10-hour reset, they're home on the weekends, they're on their lunch break. We've built these tools in a way that makes sense for them at those times. And so they can track the general self-care things like nutrition, fitness, well-being, hydration, and so on. All the health check tools, coaching. We have a social media page we've built. It's much like any other social media venue. And so you can post, share competitions, all visible in the app, leaderboards, connecting with people on those, friending them, talking junk. My Company Wellness on the very lower left corner of that first image, that's our collaboration tool. So you don't have to have separate conversations with other wellness vendors and Rolling Strong in different rooms. We're here to collaborate with them. We're an agnostic platform. We look forward to baking in other solutions you might have right into our mobile application environment, so they can click on a link and find their way to a smoking cessation or diabetes prevention or some other program you may have and want to keep. And all the other bells and whistles you'd find in other apps that might be on the market. We just happen to have all of that in our mobile environment. And all of it is constantly, supported by stars that you gain and filling up a body battery and getting to certain statuses and getting badges. So even if you're not winning rewards, physical rewards, you're always getting these little accolades along the way. And then certainly you can go in and look at very cool graphs if you want to see progress, whether it be on daily nutrition or, long-term weight loss or anything like that. And the very cool thing is all of this can now be found on one single workstation. So, and I can remember, deploying telematic solutions, many years ago now, and myself sitting in an office thinking, gosh, why isn't there just one place that all these different tools can exist? And Platform Science has done a phenomenal job of bringing that environment to us. And we're happy to be part of it. And so, with all the other tools you might have baked into your telematics device, Rolling Strong can now be one of them. And so your drivers can easily, switch between electronic logs or a dispatch management tool right into tools that can help guide them and both their health and compliance side of driving a truck. How do I stay healthy behind the wheel to keep myself out of accidents, to keep myself fit, and hopefully, return home safely to my family and enjoy my retirement. With that, we have single sign-on integration. You sign into Platform Science, it signs you into Rolling Strong. Retention tool right on the workstation. Consolidated billing. You're not going to get billed separately from us. It's just one bill right through Platform Science. And if you want to find out more and read some really cool information and see some pictures and some videos, you can, go on Platform Science's marketplace and check out Rolling Strong there. All of this that we create and deliver, there's no smoke and mirrors. We're very open and transparent about everything we do. Matter of fact, as part of our initial meetings with you and leadership, we identify what your goals should look like, and we help stand those up. And then we have dashboards that show visibility of everything along the way. So participation, engagement by demographic. We measure company health status. So what's your risk factors, participation in all different sub-layers of our program. So very high level for executives. And then certainly you can drill down and look at the details of the program. You just can never see one of your individual employees' data specifically, but you can see aggregated information on how the program's going as a whole. This is a great quote from one of our current customers over at Cook Industries, who we're doing a lot of work with. We've just expanded it to all of their subsidiary companies. This has become a cornerstone of their, culture of wellness. They get it. They're working really hard with us to keep building that out. Tons of collaboration with other wellness partners with them. And we are currently conducting what will become the very first one and only true ROI white paper study on the impact wellness programs have in the transportation industry as a whole. Lots of studies on what that looks like, globally in the corporate setting. So nobody's really ever figured that out in our space. And so we are looking at preliminary data. We have some experts from our industry that have built lots of other data-related white papers for us in this industry that are working on this with us as well. And I think it's going to be really cool when we get to release it. But Cook, huge advocates of the program.
And really, we just have one last question before we kind of hop into Q&A, which is what do you want to join the movement? I was very mean on this one, Steve. I only gave everyone one option.
I'm like looking at that. I'm like, is that both?
It's not a typo. It's not a typo. Perfect.
Thank you.
For I think there's only one slide left. Yep, absolutely. So thank you all so much for having us. I see we have one question up in the Q&A box. We would love to open it up for questions and any feedback.
I do have a couple questions that came through both for Steve and Megan, so I'll just jump in here. Do you find that fleets offer this as an opt-in program for drivers, or do they typically enroll all of their drivers?
Right. I'll take that one. So number one, we work with you to create an eligibility file, and typically they will make this eligible for all employees, both drivers and back office. And then it's optional to register for the program. And we have an approach, by the way, that wellness you can't walk away from. So we make the entry level very simple and affordable for you to deploy the program, and then only charge for the people that register for the program, which is also very inexpensive. And then you only pay for what you use along the way. So coaching or getting a biometric reading and so on. You can mandate something like this, but a lot of times that comes across as a little abrasive and doesn't help your culture out. We find it better to make it optional and let us help build a culture and, let the people that need it, approach us. It's not always about, I know we look at wellness a lot and we say, well, what's the engagement? What's the participation rate? And those are kind of important numbers. What's more important is, did we find 20 people in your organization that we've helped save their lives? Did we prevent 5 accidents, 10 work comp cases? So we're sifting through, employees with lots of turnover, and we're trying to find the people that really need it and want it. And those people that really need it and want it, when they understand that there's a program that's not going to get them in trouble, that's there to really truly help them, they'll approach us. And we see that all day, every day.
Thank you for that, Steve. Couple other questions here. The next is, how many customers does Rolling Strong have?
We have about 25 customers, 25 carriers, and somewhere between 35 and 40,000 eligible users, with about a 25 to 28% regular active rate on a daily basis.
Great. And what does your onboarding look like?
So onboarding usually takes anywhere from 30 to 90 days. Again, it's us coming in and working with you and your leadership team, identifying what your culture looks like. We don't want to just jump in there and start sending out invites, because lots of times they look at that like it's just spam email. And so we really look at what is the strategy that we want to take on this program specifically. We have a project management tool that's visible to you and us, and an account manager that goes through that. And we check the boxes as we go. Everything from collecting marketing assets, eligibility files, getting posters distributed, setting up your first biometric screening, our first on-site coach visit, and all those kinds of things, or multiple coach visits. And so that takes a little time to piece that together. Again, we're going to do 90% or more of the lifting. We're just having you kind of direct us where we need to go, and we're giving you full visibility of what we're accomplishing along the way. And that creates a great foundation for success for us, because again, we'll constantly go back to those strategic goals we've set to show how close we are, what we've achieved, and what we need to do differently to keep making progress.
Awesome. Thank you. And the last question that I have that's come in here is, does Rolling Strong work for both corporate employees and drivers?
It does. So that's very typical, and we urge you to do it that way. Again, we don't necessarily want to have a program that's just siloed for drivers. And a lot of times when we see corporate involved in this, which is all of our tools are very useful to corporate and drivers. As a matter of fact, depending on the job type that you pick when you're registering for the program, it customizes the look, the feel, and some of the tools you actually get. So corporate employees get a little bit of a different experience than a driver will get. For instance, they don't get, corporate employees don't get the Ready Research program available to them because they don't have to pass it. And so, but when we do that, we run competitions like drivers versus dispatch, or, terminal versus terminal, or drivers versus leadership, it makes it fun and engaging. And it lets drivers know that, health and wellness and working out and all that stuff. I always say is, we all sweat the same. And, when we work out together and we join in movements like this, it's a very collaborative, unifying thing. And, people feel more connected when you do something like this together. And then we're here to help promote that, whether it be pictures of the president handing a trophy to to a terminal manager or a driver, or, doing something on stage when you have some kind of an annual meeting or something, to promote the culture of wellness, but also to celebrate the successes of your frontline workers.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Steve. Those are all the questions that I've had that have come through. I'll give it another minute or so, but if there's anything else you would like to touch on the next few minutes, please feel free.
Megan, do you have anything you want to add?
No, just thank you all for having us. Emily, as part of the follow-up for this, will be sending out a FAQ sheet from us so you can continue to learn more about the program. And we look forward to hearing from someone of you and getting feedback about how the Rolling Strong app is doing on Platform Science.
Great. Thank you all again for joining us today. As I said in the beginning, there will be a survey that's going out when I close out the webinar. Feel free to submit that and let us know how you thought today's session went. And then if there's any questions regarding Rolling Strong, please feel free to reach out to Steve, Megan, or myself. But thank you all for your time today. I hope everyone has a great week, and happy driver appreciation.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being on with us.
Thanks.
Thank you.